Hey y'all, it's Siobhan Muir. Welcome back to Cooking with Siobhan. All right, so today what we're doing is a Beltane recipe. Actually, what I should say is I was looking up Beltane recipes and this came up. Apparently though, it's Jewish cuisine. But I was looking for a recipe that I could make for Beltane since Beltane just passed. And I did make it. But I thought you guys would like to see it. And this is called, originally it was called a sticky honey cake with ginger. I changed it. So it's now a sticky honey spice cake because we're doing more than just ginger because that's how I roll. So what are you going to need? You are going to need 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1/3 cup of liquid honey. So if your honey is solid, you're going to want to put it in hot water so it melts. But you want easily pourable honey. You're going to want 1.25 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Then you're going to need the zest of 1 orange, and believe me, this was a pain in the butt to get, but it was worth it. Then you're going to want 1/3 cup of olive oil, 2 eggs, about a half a cup of milk, and then 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So this is pretty much what you're going to need, but you're not going to do it all together. It's going to be you're going to need 2 bowls and a pan. So to start, you are going to need, preheat the oven to 180 C or 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and line a loaf pan with grease-proof paper or spray it with cooking spray. And we're going to do 2 small loaves because I found it easier to eat when they're relatively small loaves. So you're looking at something like a 3 by 6, I think, is what these little pans are. And you could do a 5 by 9, it doesn't matter, but make sure you spray them down well so that your cake comes out. Then put the sugar and the honey into a small saucepan and heat on a low flame, stirring occasionally. By low flame, I would say, if you're using these big burners, I would say around 4 on my stove, around 4. So not quite medium, but not low. All right, so below medium, but not low. Because it's fun. So you put your 1/3 cup of honey on the sugar. And then you're going to use probably a wooden spoon would be best. And you're just going to stir this stuff together. And you're going to stir it together until the sugar dissolves. And by dissolve, it means spread out evenly throughout. No chunks, no bumps. Stirring occasionally until the sugar dissolves is really what the instructions say. So do not allow the mixture to boil, and remove from heat once the sugar is actually, instead of dissolved, it's more like evenly distributed is what it is. You're gonna let that do its thing. And we will check on it to make sure that it doesn't we don't want it to boil. In a large bowl, you are going to put in your 1.25 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Do not forget the salt. It's very, very important. Ask me how I know. I'm gonna do the salt first so we don't forget it. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Ta-da! Now we remember that. All right. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Yes. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of ginger.
There is actually baking soda down here. It's just too heavy to show you.
That's true. 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and and 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. So when you have all this together, whisk gently so that it distributes the spice throughout the dry ingredients. Also, so you don't get any cinnamon bombs in the middle of your bread or your cake. That could be really exciting. All right, so it should kind of look
off-white.
Yeah, brownish. Oh, and don't forget your orange zest. You need to add that too, the orange zest. And you want this zest. It's probably best to do it fresh, but you know, it's such a pain in the butt. How do you prep for that? So now we have orange zest in here too. So this is the basis for the basis for your cake. Set this aside. Separately whisk together oil, eggs, milk, and vanilla. We'll start with the eggs. A 1/3 cup of oil. I do need my little.
Oh, I took it away. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so, and that was olive oil. It suggested olive oil. You could probably get away with avocado oil. You could probably use any vegetable oil you prefer, but the olive oil seemed to work really well for this cake. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and 1/2 cup of milk. Ta-da! And whisk together. So what the recipe says is take this stuff and put it in there and then whisk together. Hold that for me just a second. So pour the liquid ingredients into the dry ingredients and whisk well to give a smooth, runny batter. So we'll see, here's the dry. Here's the liquid, and we are running these two together. Okay, now we're whisking those together. Now, if you were doing this with regular glutinous flour, it would probably be runnier than it will be with the gluten-free flour, just because gluten-free flour tends to be drier. It doesn't mean it'll be dry, but it'll be drier than if you had regular flour.
Also, just a quick note, particularly with the honey mixture, but with this as well, make sure to rinse out your things before, or right after, because gluten-free tends to become concrete when you don't clean it or rinse it immediately.
I do need a ladle. Okay. The red one is probably the best for this one.
Okay.
I know that seems strange. A ladle for batter? Yes. So it should be runny. Your batter should be runny. Like I said, it is still drier. It is still drier than regular flour, but your batter should be pretty runny. So this will be a honey spice cake. Now you bake this thing for, I think I did 45 minutes for these two. And they'll be dark golden in color, and a toothpick should come out clean, yeah. Remove from the oven, allow to cool in the tin for a short time, and then we will end up drizzling icing over it. And we'll see you then. Perfecto. All right, so what it says is remove from oven and allow to cool in the tin for a few minutes, then remove and leave on the wire rack until cold. It says cake may sink. It would if it was glutenated flour, but it won't because it's this. We'll let that cool a little bit, and then what we'll do is we'll make the glaze and drizzle it over it. But we gotta let it cool because otherwise the glaze will melt and then fall right off, and then it won't look cool. Ask me how I know. See you soon. All right, you guys, the cake has come out of the oven and cooled. And so now you're gonna need to make the icing that goes on top. The original recipe calls for honey plus powdered sugar, and you're not gonna need that much sugar, I promise. So what I suggest you do is you put 1/3 of a cup of powdered sugar and 1 teaspoon of milk. I like goat milk. It makes things really nice, and it's creamy. All right, and then mix this together. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of liquid to this amount of sugar, but it's the perfect amount to make a nice sugar glaze. If you want to do something fun, and I actually do, I would like a little red food coloring, just a little bit. I know, it looks like blood. Ta-da! Sticky, probably not, honey cake with spices. So sticky honey spice cake.
Much better.
Tastes like a spice cake, doesn't it?
I like it. I'm also really hungry.
Shall I just feed you the whole plate?
I mean, I will eat the whole plate. That's
All right. Well, there you have it. It is a honey spice cake. Basically a gluten-free honey spice cake. It would make a really good, coffee cake, right? And you can do it for any holiday. You can also make your glaze any color you like.
I like that it turned out pink.
Mm-hmm. I wanted pink. I did not want blood red or green. No, not green.
But
No.
you sure? It would have looked awesome.
All right, well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely ring the bell to find out when there's new videos posted. Subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the video. Tell me what you did different. Did you include all those spices? Did you decide, we're just gonna go with ginger? Whatever you'd like to do.
Did you use green icing?
Did you use green icing? Don't encourage them. And then also sign up for my Patreon, which is patreon.com/c/Siobhan Muir. And then you'll get not only these cooking videos, but you'll get cover reveals, you'll get exclusive writing. You'll also find out when books come out, and you'll get discounts too. So definitely sign up for that, because it helps me as the author, but it also, more writing is good writing. So yeah, happy making, happy baking, happy eating, and happy reading. Bye.